Everybody's on. Entertain a motion to go back into regular session of policy and governance. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. You open an item or just go to it? Five. All right, we'll start with number 5, and we'll do regarding proposed projects and programs. And we had a handful of items that we were going to get more information back on.
We did. You want to start with those items then?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think Danny stepped out for a moment, but we can jog through those.
This is the new updated elevator estimate.
Yes. And I think we even maybe got a new number. Oh, it is. Okay.
And then I believe it was asked, so all the items that have been passed and then recommended, what's the available ARPA funds to current date?
So from everything that's been recommended so far, which totals to 79 and just under 79.5 million. The remaining pot after that is 119.
Okay. Math in my head doesn't get there.
No, I'm sorry, that's not right. So everything that's been recommended so far, we have remaining 74.5 million. That's what's been recommended by P&G. What's been authorized by BOCC is 44.5 million.
And that's 74.
Correct.
The 74 is what's remaining, is that correct?
That's right.
That does not include the estimated administrative if we go out to 2026.
That's right.
All right, any additional items? Well, let's go through all the, was there number changes on some other items?
There were.
We did have one more change on the detention center items from yesterday. This was already recommended yesterday by P&G. We received a notice after it was recommended that there is actually an increase on this project by about $15,000. It's just a little over that. We do have detention center IT here to discuss it if y'all have further questions.
We recommended this project at which figure?
The top, the 1,810,000 figure. So the change would be $15,024.61.
And then I forget the additional question we had on this, or did we? I guess if we recommended it, we didn't have a question on that. But they did say 15,000 more.
$15,024.61.
How many cents?
61.
All right, was there any other projects in question?
These are the only ones that had number changes on them. We did leave some items pending yesterday. If you would like to walk through those again, we can.
I do, since I did say I was going to talk to the treasurer, whatever project number that was, a third floor remodel.
Yes, we can start there. That is project 10114, the third floor remodel from the assessor's office.
He understood the amount of time and the calendar. He understood that the whole floor theoretically would have to be vacated to get asbestos abatement through there. He did have some questions about I don't know, that corner would be about a fourth of the floor that's being remodeled for purchasing and for some of his offices. Didn't know if that actually had to be touched or not, so that's something we can ask at a later time. But he is open to moving to allow for that remodel to happen. So I would assume that figure would change to whatever figure we came up with on the fourth floor. What's that magic number again?
I do not have my computer. Let me grab my computer. The fourth floor remodel, including the asbestos abatement and 20%, was recommended at $8,760,000.
Okay, that was so that the clerk in the room could know that that's in the process. So that would theoretically be the price tag for this project as well. Any thoughts? Anybody want to go back to the top of the list? Work on the stuff still pending? Were there any other questions we had?
You had asked about, we looked some further information into this ESRI agreement. And because it was not previously competitively bid, it was bought through a state contract. It's unlikely that it will pass the compliance checks on the back end to receive funding. So this might be a project you would want to archive at this time.
Thank you for that information. I guess they can't hear me. I can't recall, did we reimburse some funds towards this project already?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not on this
Okay,
project.
so we pull it back. All right. Based upon recommendation from the censure, I would move that we would archive 10004.
I think we're going old school, right? So you just have to.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and second to archive 1004. All those in favor say aye.
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 This was about the jury pavilion yesterday. I believe the court clerk's office has sent someone today as well if you guys had additional questions regarding the pavilion structure.
Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Warren are here, and they provided
You want
a
to receive
rendering
the,
of a type. Yeah, move to receive the renderings provided by the court clerk's office.
Second?
motion and second to receive the renderings. All those in favor say aye.
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 Do you have anything either?
Not had an engineer report in the alley, and that's not what I'm getting into, but these shade, basically they mount to the concrete, but the fact that I would be pretty confident to say there's a lot of plumbing, electrical, and everything up and down that alley, we have to be real careful. So something like this would fit exactly with what our needs are. It withstands the weather. The canvas will last, or the material it's made of will last approximately 10 years without any repairs other than tightening cables and doing things like that, daily maintenance. But these would suffice and give the jurors protection from the weather. We'd also want to add heaters in there, very similar and very simple to add. And I think this would meet our needs at a cost that would also, we'd get some bids, and I think it would be better than building a permanent, and it would be attractive. It also wouldn't take away from the buildings themselves.
So I envision from the door out of the jury, cover that sidewalk area.
It'd be more than just the sidewalk. Would probably come over the street about to the sidewalk on the other side. And if you look at some of these, they only have to have a bracing on one side and extends over. You'd have to have it high enough so that semis could drive under it in case we get a truck in. But also at one end, you could do a curtain. It has an electronic curtain on many of them that you hit a button and the curtain comes down. High wind days and things like that when you have blowing rain. Basically, if we do the whole project and do it right, then it would protect our jurors completely at a low cost compared to building a structure.
I do know the engineer had referenced a crane gets put in the alley on occasion for maintenance and whatnot. So we believe that area would be available still for equipment.
You could have a semi could drive under it once it's there. As far as the crane working underneath, it wouldn't, but most cranes, they're 40, 70 foot tall. You could sit at either end of it and operate.
Okay. Any other questions? Take action on this item, and we're going to go through some of the others.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Given that we don't know the exact specifications on the project, what I'd like to do is make a motion that we recommend to the BOCC that they set aside an amount of $250,000 for project 10035. Once we are clear that there would be no interference or issues with emergency vehicle access, utility relocation necessary, et cetera. Ask our staff to just verify that, and then they can bring that information to BOCC at the time, and they can approve the project if there's no conflicts.
I'll second that.
All right, motion and second for project 10035 be recommended to the BOCC. Set aside these dollars until all those items are suffice. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
The other item that you guys had questions on yesterday was related to the laptop purchase through benefits and retirement. You asked that we check with the IT department to determine if there are other options for this or a cheaper option. We did talk with Dane. Rich is out sick, and because of not wanting to spread any sort of illness, they sent us their emails or their response via email. So they did say that the laptops that John submitted are something that the county is already using in other departments. It is something that they think that y'all have had good return on investment on, that the laptops have been able to maintain for several years without needing replacement, and have been recommended in other departments as well. They said, is there a cheaper option? Potentially, or probably, but these are laptops that are being used countywide in other departments and have had good results.
Something else while we contemplate? Or is there another motion, or? I guess,
Not on 3 laptops, but
I guess in the budget that you submitted, your normal budget, did you have capital expenditures that you had put in, such as these laptops that were?
They weren't in the normal budget, in our regular fiscal budget. We didn't put these in. So I went to BET. We had some issues with our laptop. So I went to BET and they said to come here. So just a little history on laptops. We've been provided laptops in the past. The cheaper ones, they don't work for us. We run tons of programs, tons of memory, tons of stuff. So the cheaper laptops don't work that we've tried before. They burn out. And so we're kind of stuck with some non-par ones right now. So that's why I'm asking you all, because I went to the BET and they said to come here.
Thanks, Cody.
Thank you.
All right. And 10112 to the BOCC for approval.
I'll second that.
motion second to thank Cody. Motion second to move and recommend 10112, $3,600. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
That brings us back to the third floor remodel. That is the final pending P&G item outside of salary and benefits and premium pay.
Let's look at that. You were going to change those numbers in the payroll.
So we do have the breakdowns in payroll. So this is kind of a snapshot of everything that has been requested so far. So at the top, you'll see the sheriff's first 2 items, 43 and 44. The special revenue pieces of this has already been authorized. So all that would be remaining is the general fund pieces for project 45, 71, and 72. This is the entirety. We do have broken out which pieces were for special revenue funds and for the general fund, so we can get into the weeds on that if we would like. But we also have gone ahead and halved these items onto the side. And so you'll see that column on the right. And then at the very bottom, we have the Juvenile Bureau and the Detention Center as well. And at the bottom, there is no change in those because they are only requesting for 1 year's worth. Whereas in the sheriff's future-looking requests, we expect the amount of time spent to be reduced to some extent.
Okay, similar to my questions yesterday. At least for the funds that we're discussing reimbursing this year, those are already accounted for budgeted expenses. And if,
In 43 and 44, that is my understanding.
okay. And in the out years, those expenses are normally something that would be covered by the county's general fund budget. And if you can't answer that, maybe Cody can.
My understanding is yes, but I do not look at y'all's budget.
And so utilizing these funds in this manner to cover an expense that is normally budgeted out of county general would preclude these funds from being used in another manner related to ARPA. Is that correct?
If the board were to not otherwise fund salary and benefits, yes, these dollars would need to cover those salary and benefits.
So if we spent $41,093,714.19 to cover salary and benefits that are normally paid for out of general fund, we would not have that amount to potentially do projects that would impact the community.
That is correct. The thing you could say here in relation to that is because the funds would come back to the county, they could be used for positive purposes for enhancements into county services or into some form of community programs, but these are not funds that, you are correct, could be applied for from other organizations outside of the county.
And because the county is limited in their ability to do those things which were only statutorily authorized, in running these funds back to county general, it may limit our ability to impact the community. Whereas here, because of House Bill 2233, the county has been freed from that restriction and we can use these funds according to federal law. Is that your understanding?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
The Juvenile Bureau and Detention Center project, was that current fiscal year or previous reimbursement?
The Juvenile Bureau is through 22 to 23, so that should be the current fiscal year. Let me verify on the detention center. Yes, so the Juvenile Bureau is for the period of July 2022 to June of 2023. And the detention center was from January of 2022 through May of 2022.
May I ask you a question on the premium pay
Mhm.
package? What is the total that we're looking at to cover the allowable period?
So Stephen has some examples.
Yeah, so for premium pay, we talked through down the middle column there, scenarios 1 and 2. So scenario 1 being the max amount we could do per employee and not exceed the 2 thresholds defined by U.S. Treasury. One being the hourly rate of $13 an hour, the other being the total amount an individual can receive of $25,000. Scenario 2, it looks at the 1 month stipend approach, where we multiply individual hourly wage times 173, which is the average working hours per month. And then scenario 3 is one that you asked us to model yesterday. So this is looking at a more equitable distribution where we take a percentage of the max amount an individual can receive in premium pay and distribute it that way. So we can play with the the percentage there is set it at 35%, just to give us something close to that same 1 month stipend total. But of course, that's adjustable, and we can play with that number further if you like.
Stephen,
Yep.
for clarification, the amounts we see, the total amounts, scenario 1, 2, and 3, those are annual dollar amounts, or that's from the point of award up through the allowable period of the law? Or is it a one-time?
It's one time, the one-time total.
One-time total.
And elaborating on scenario 3, because that's a little bit, there's a couple more steps involved there in the third column. The final rule asks us to look at the average hourly wage for the area, which we did, and it's $24.54. And then they ask us to look at 150 times that, which comes to $36.81. So that's the max amount any one individual could receive with their existing wage plus premium pay. So that's what we don't want to exceed. And so the premium pay cap that we're setting is the gap between any individual's actual wage and that $36.81. So I give two examples there. The first is very extreme. So saying Will Rogers here makes $36 an hour, so he's eligible for 81 cents in premium pay. Whereas someone who's making less, so saying Toby Keith makes $18 an hour, he's eligible for up to $18.81 in premium pay. So the 35% that we're setting is the percentage of that $18.81. The idea being those making less in wages would gain more in premium pay rate.
Which would seem to be given the current economic.
Exactly. It was designed to fit the spirit of the provision, which is to target low and medium income wage earners.
Let me ask you another question. In your opinion, do we need to determine exactly the method in order to set aside some money? As Danielle, I think, has mentioned previously, we could reserve money, and then if we don't use it, free it up for something else.
That's right. This is purely like these models are meant to give you an idea of what you may want to set aside, because we know, ongoing year to year, this may change, or you may not want to lock yourselves into the exact formula at this time. But if you wanted to come up with the methodology for how you're going to determine that, this can give you an idea of what those numbers would look like.
Okay, all right. As we've been approving things this morning, have you kept a running total of where we're at in terms of what we have recommended total?
Yes. Yeah, let me refresh that real quick. So not much of a dent so far. We're still at 79.7 million recommended and 74.2 remaining.
Okay. So the two pay-based scenarios total approximately $58 million. Is that close?
Looking at premium pay and payroll and benefits.
And reimbursing for currently budgeted and normally budgeted expenses out of general fund, that would total out about $58 million.
Yeah, if you were to take the maximum amount, that scenario 1 of premium pay, I think that's correct.
Yeah, and then the assessors, the third floor, there's more than the assessor there, that we're guessing is another 8 million.
Yes.
So that's, I'm not good at math, 66 million. Is there anything else that we haven't considered yet today?
No, the only remaining item would be the action on the third floor.
So if we maxed out, my math's not great, that would leave maybe $10 million to help the citizens of the county.
Did we pass the detention center elevators and MIS?
Past the detention center elevators at 4.2, and then the increase on the network infrastructure upgrade at 1.825 because of the $15,000 increase.
Did we pass that?
We didn't take action on that.
No, y'all didn't vote on those? Oh, okay.
So that's another 4.5 million. So now we're 6 million or so, possibly into the community if we max out on everything. Okay, so given that, I would like to make a motion that we recommend to the BOCC that they reserve 55 million for possible allocation within the community for projects and programs for the following purposes. 1, public health. 2, negative economic impacts. 3, services to disproportionately impacted communities. 4, premium pay, not being the county. That premium pay is eligible to private workforces. And 5, investment in water, sewer, and broadband projects. That's my motion.
Motion was how much?
55 million.
We have a motion on the floor, dies due to lack of second. Let's go to the payroll and the reimbursements for salary. Since 43 and 44 are reimbursements for past payroll, I would like to move 43 and 44 to be recommended to the BOCC.
To be clear, those have already been recommended. I apologize, it's not.
Well, but
Clear here.
the dollar amount connected to the red ink has not been.
Okay.
We
yes.
just recommended, and it's passed, was the special revenue funds
Correct.
for
yeah,
both
yeah.
those projects.
That's right, I apologize.
Yeah, so the amounts would be $3,718,179.02 and $11,173,931.30.
I'll second that.
Okay. I'm going to take a point of personal privilege. I'm voting no on all of this until we set aside some amount of money for use in the community. These are budgeted expenses that the taxpayers of Oklahoma County have already funded. And as I stated earlier, within the guidelines of ARPA, we have the ability to help the community. If this money goes back into the general fund, we're restricted by statute as to what we can do with the funds, and it may not be as far-reaching as what we can do here. I'm willing to consider setting aside an amount up to $18 million for premium pay, because I believe in my heart that that meets with the guidelines and that our folks deserve that. But I'm a no on everything else.
All right, motion is second on items 10043 and 10044 for general fund. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
No.
And those no. The ayes have it.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Well, I think we have,
A motion to adjourn is a prior motion. It's in order at any time.
all right,
You at least have to vote me down.
fair enough. With lack of second, motion dies. With that in front of us, I think we have a contract that we need to work with.
For
And
subrecipient.
that would probably be under
3.
item 3.
Yeah, so, okay, so you've seen the compliance framework well, it was on the agenda to be presented in last month's P&G meeting. So we shared that with you. We have updated a significant section of that for subrecipient management. And I just wanted to step through kind of the key components of that section as you're reading through it and becoming familiar with it yourselves. So first and foremost, the subrecipient management has 2 key features. One is the risk assessment of the subrecipients. This is just a questionnaire that will have subrecipients complete. We score them based on their answers and come up with a risk level, and that informs the monitoring plan that we'll implement for that particular subrecipient. There's 3 tiers of that monitoring plan, from less stringent to more stringent, so you can get a sense of that. Yeah, we can switch it over. Sorry. No, the other one. Yeah, so here's an example of the risk assessment. Am I able to scroll with this? I am. So, yeah, fairly straightforward. We get a sense of the risk for that subrecipient based on past performance and other factors, and then we set up their monitoring plan accordingly. And that monitoring plan is then incorporated into the second key feature of subrecipient management, which is the subrecipient agreement. This is the contract between the county and the subrecipient that governs the relationship and expectations and responsibilities for each party. So based on the risk assessment, we'll design the monitoring program to be laid out in that agreement. And then we'll also include a per project analysis that will have any unique features for a given project, whether it's performance indicators or metrics that they need to report on, or some other criteria. The agreement in itself is still in a draft state. We've gone through a couple iterations of that when receiving feedback from different parties within the county and developing that, designing it to make sure that it fits our needs and is in compliance with any existing statutes and rules that you have in place.
With regard to that draft agreement that you provided us, would you prefer our comments collectively, or do you just want us to get with you individually? I have several things I'd like to discuss. What is easiest for you? Since it's in draft form, I'm happy to provide those to you later.
Okay, yeah, that works.
That's fine. Unless these folks are interested in.
Yeah, and we know we have those detention center projects that we've decided will need to roll through this subrecipient process, and so they're sort of our pilot in this, and we're working toward getting those approved as quickly as possible for their sake.
because we're under item 3, can you talk to me a little bit about, well, that you've got the community survey, and I provided you with some suggestions on that. We're contemplating, or we're going to have our District 1 community outreach on December the 1st. Is that correct? That's the first.
That's right.
And the time on that?
Uh,
Time and location. I apologize. I've been
7 p.m. at 6 to 8.
6 to 8, and that's at the Midwest City or the Metro Tech.
Community Center in Midwest City.
Okay, thank you. And at that time, what we're going to do is hear from the community their needs and their desires regarding the use of these funds, of which we didn't allocate any just a moment ago, or set aside any.
It's dual purpose, so it'll be educational and conveying the rules around this funding to the community and give them a sense of what are the parameters and what it can be used for. And then yes, it's getting it from the other direction too, getting their input on their preferences and priorities.
Thank you.
Yep. Back to the subrecipient management piece and the compliance framework. As I said, that's a work in progress, and we're looking for your feedback actively on that, and we'll look to push it forward and have it adopted by this committee in the very near future.
Well, with the changes that D1 is going to recommend, is that an item then you can update and give to us so we can move to the DA's office for consideration?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you guys have any suggested changes?
It
It might be something that I have in mind if you want to tell me what you have. Or you can just provide them to them and
I did
collate.
I did give them our concerns, and then they were gonna,
Okay.
whatever the big word
All right,
is,
they're
I'm trying to
just-
think of.
Mesh them all together then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yours looks smaller font than mine. I must have printed it out different. All right, so that will do that, and then we'll get that forwarded to the DA's office for consideration.
Yes.
And then I guess if that's,
And by the way, in parallel, we'll start the process with the detention center for the risk assessment questionnaire. Have them start down that path, and we can work with them through that process.
I guess if the DA's reviews it and signs off on it, technically that can go straight to BOCC.
Yeah, I think so. Hey, Cassie, let me ask you, do we have the ability to, on these screens, pull up the internet? With regard to the survey, I think part of your hope was to get it approved today so we could use it
Yes, sir.
in
That was the
conjunction
goal,
with the.
yeah.
Would it be possible for you to search and pull up, I believe it's the City of Oceanside, California, ARPA survey, hopefully. And it's actually a Survey Monkey document. As I was researching different surveys that had been done through the country, this one really stood out. I provided it to them this morning. ARPA survey, and see if it pulls up. I believe that's it right there. I think so, yes. Yeah. So they have a brief text, much like they proposed in ours. The link to take the survey. Again, this is through SurveyMonkey. Cassie, would you mind to go down just a little bit? Oh, there. Maybe that one. So brief background, one of the interesting things they've done here is, as you'll see, they provided a link to the Treasury's fact sheet for members of the community. They've also done this in Spanish as an alternative means of getting additional input. One of the other things that I spoke with our consultants about, in addition to doing a Spanish version, was making sure that they get with our IT folks for ADA accessibility via the web for this survey. And then if you go down and you go through the questions, I think the way the questions are structured, obviously it need to be changed to fit Oklahoma County, but the way that the questions are structured really get at, that's a rank order there, really get at the heart of the information that we're trying to get in the event we have some funds for use in the community. So this form, we're just substituting Oklahoma County where applicable, I really believe is a good means of gathering that information. And this is what I'd like to see us use. So if you all would be amenable to authorizing them to change our form to fit this format, I think it would be a good step.
Yeah, outside of beach sand, I don't know that we have much here. I'm,
We have river sand.
oh yeah, that's right. It looks similar to the document you showed us as a draft, so if this looks like the one to utilize, then so be it.
No problem. Yep, we can reconfigure.
Thank you.
And then just in terms of getting it authorized, I mean, do we, to get it posted, do we need,
My intent would be that if we can structure our survey almost verbatim here,
Mhm.
that we give you that authority to utilize it once you've made that conversion. That would be my intent.
Okay.
If they're comfortable.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think the survey that you presented yesterday was pretty simple and straightforward. We recommended changing a few of the categories, but it was really simple and straightforward to me. It left a little bit of wiggle room and open-ended questions for people to add their feedback and input. So I'm fine with going forward with that one that you presented, and just changing. I think there were like 2 categories we mentioned changing. So that one looked fine to our office.
And we've updated the change.
yeah, we incorporated all the changes we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, so I guess I'll make a motion, as I stated, that we utilize the template from Oceanside as our survey.
Well, would that be the draft we had before us yesterday? Just adding to that some additional items that Oceanside has? Or you just want the,
I believe the one that Oceanside, if they could pull it back up, if you want to spend some time, covers everything that we had and even allows for more detail. As you pointed out, beach sand's probably not
yeah.
applicable, but red dirt if you wish.
Yeah, I think if we,
And here, to Chelsea's point, there's the opportunity to put in additional information.
I'll second that and confirm that the final product does not say California in there. So,
Yes, please, don't do that.
Okay, sounds good.
motion second, work with that survey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. And because we won't meet until after that meeting, I see where, Joe, I'm comfortable with committing 20 million to the community. So if we need to pass that to recommend to the BOCC, I think there's still some question marks on internal needs, but if you want to do a motion for 20 million and that list of items that you said earlier.
As much as I would like to do that, it flies in the face of what I believe is the intended use of the money. And until we get somewhere closer to my original motion, and I understand, I am risking there not being any dollars in the community, but I'll have a good, clean conscience in my efforts to try. So at this point, I'm not willing to do that. If you guys want to come up and meet me more towards that 50 million, I already said I'd recommend the premium pay allocation, setting aside that money. That's 18 million. But 20 million is, while not anything to sneeze at, when we're looking at somewhere around $41 million to repay ourselves for something that the taxpayers of Oklahoma County foot already, and we have no guarantee how those funds are going to be used, I can't get there yet.
All righty. Any other items under, well, I forget what day we met, from yesterday that we have not covered today?
Nothing that hasn't been covered. I just wanted to pull a point of clarity because we had talked about the detention center items. You're correct. We have not moved on the elevator portion of that, the 4.2. We went back and checked the meeting minutes while y'all were discussing those surveys, and the increase on the network infrastructure upgrade was recommended. So just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page about that. But the only open items then at this point that are not related to salary and benefits or premium pay would be the elevators and then the third floor remodel.
All right, well, we'll review those at the next P&G. Any other items to come before any citizen participation, since we didn't cover that yesterday?
I was incorrect. The new number was not approved on the infrastructure upgrade, the $15,000. The previously recommended number is all that has been authorized or recommended.
Just doing the numbers, my guess is find that somewhere else. Any other items to come before this board? Any board comments? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you.